This is Extra Paycheck Podcast, episode number 111.
You're listening to Extra Paycheck Podcast, where you will learn how to build and grow your own successful online business. Now, here's your host, Alex Soul.
Welcome to yet another episode of the Extra Paycheck Podcast. This is episode number 111. And today's special guest is Rohan Gilkes. He was a guest on episode number 8, so about 2 years ago. And a lot of things have changed for him since then. He's working on a huge company right now. And he'll be sharing a lot of his experiences, tips, and really amazing stuff. So enjoy today's episode. Hi, Rohan, and welcome to the Extra Paycheck Podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, man. So I had you on this very show about 2 years ago in May of 2015, actually, and that was episode number 8. And for those who haven't listened yet, maybe you should give us some insights on what you're doing. And I know, things have changed since then. So what's your main business right now? What are you concentrating on?
Sure. So right now I'm working on a company called Inclusive, and it's an accommodation, short-term vacation rental platform that allows people that are going on vacation to just book some place to stay and see the world. We were developed after, encountering some issues of discrimination on other platforms. And we decided to kind of create our own solution that could provide people the opportunities to travel and see the world, but without having to worry about other messy situations around bias or anything like that. So Inclusive is what I'm working on right now.
Awesome. Sounds great. And when did you launch Inclusive?
So we're actually still in beta, officially still in beta. We started working on it around July of last year. So that's July of 2016. And we opened our live beta in January of this year. Mm-hmm. And so we're only a few weeks away from our full launch, but people have been booking and traveling all over the world already.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds great. And all right, so your biggest competitor, it's not a secret, it's Airbnb, right?
Yes.
And
I was.
Yeah, and as a lot of people say when it comes to launching something like that, everyone will say, "Oh, well, there's already Airbnb, I can't do that," or "There's already Uber, I can't launch something with a similar idea." There is already, whatever, I cannot do something similar. Yet you guys did it. What was the not the thinking behind the why? You just mentioned the why, but how did you decide that we could actually do that? It's not impossible, and we have a chance at succeeding at that.
Yeah, so that's a fabulous question, and it's one that we get a lot. But if you really think about it, there is not that much new under the sun. So if that thinking were really, really valid, then there would only be one car company. Like there would only be Ford and not GM, or there will be Uber and not Lyft. There would be Airbnb and not HomeAway and VRBO and 100 other platforms. You could not sell T-shirts because Amazon sells T-shirts, so there's no way to compete with Amazon. I think that thinking is not how the real world works. How it really works is that for any industry that you look at, you're going to see multiple hundreds, thousands even of companies competing, and many of them doing very, very well because there are no real monopolies left anymore. I mean, outside of like cable and diamonds and like a few extreme examples, for the most part, we have no monopolies. So there's always market opportunity, even if it appears that there is an incumbent person that you cannot compete with. Mm-hmm. I just don't think that line of thinking is valid.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And Rohan, maybe you could share some tips more of insights of how you are doing marketing for this new platform, because once again, it's a big undertaking. It's not some little website or a blog. This is actually a full-blown service with a lot of things to think about, with a lot of details. So yeah, mostly how are you marketing it, and what are you seeing as results from your efforts?
Yeah, so I think that's another solid question, because with a platform like this, we're really marketing to two markets at the same time. So it's a two-sided platform where, one, we have to market to people that would like to rent out their properties. And we also have to market to people that would like to stay in those properties. And so for the people that want to rent out their properties, we are really kind of building all of this traction online and reaching out to people through social media and running contests and going to the vacation rental conferences and building relationships with property managers and channel managers and so on. So that part of it, a lot of it is really relationship building. And that's on the side of people that own properties or manage properties. And then on the side of people that want to travel, that piece is actually a little bit easier, because that piece we are more familiar with marketing to end consumers based on other businesses that we've built. So we're running ads, we're doing Facebook contests, we're doing social media contests. We've been lucky to get a lot of press. We're doing the SEO and all the traditional internet marketing things that we would do as we build companies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks for answering that. And I'm sure a lot of people will be wondering here, because you have quite a bit of experience in launching companies and businesses, especially online. So, you have connections, you know certain things, people that you should contact when you need help with certain tasks. And of course, you have a little bit of money from your other ventures to help you fund that. So what do you think are the chances of someone who's brand new to all of this, trying to launch the same platform? Do they have the same chances of succeeding? And most importantly, will they be able to get to your level in the same time frame as you did?
I think the chances are very, very low. And that's not just because it's me and my current team now doing Inclusive, but I would say the same thing if I were not the person working on this. And that's because, like you said earlier, this is a platform that really is complex, requires understanding of databases, and is really a technology problem to solve, a big one to solve. And then you have to solve some of the big relationship problems. How do you reach out to a multi-million-dollar property management company and convince them to let a small startup, host their properties and kind of connect with their brand? That whole process of building these complex relationships is very difficult, and that also takes some experience in navigating business and startups and kind of figuring out how to solve those types of problems. And then, of course, you then are still left with a huge problem of getting people to come and book service. So it's really a complex, multi-layered problem. And if it were me starting out, there's no way I could pull it off. So I would advise folks, if they're looking to get into business, to solve some smaller problems first. And then as you build your experience level, and you also build your funds, that's also a good point. And you build your finances, you can then start to take on some bigger challenges like we're doing now.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. And I guess building this kind of platform is really not cheap and cannot really be bootstrapped, right?
I feel like it could be. So I would say that, okay, there is an opportunity to bootstrap something like this. And we are kind of semi-funded because we know we're putting in our own money, but we're also semi-bootstrapping as well, meaning that, we didn't just drop $100,000. We did have to drop, a few tens of thousands of dollars to build the platform and so on. But then we can say, okay, now we can start to accept bookings and use some of that money to fund. We can start to look at different experiences that we can give people and use some revenue from that to fund. So we're kind of like self-funded / bootstrapping based on the revenue that we're generating as well.
Mm-hmm. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right, Rohan. So I'd like to go a little bit back on your other ventures. So in 2015, when I had you on, you were talking about Maids in Black, a company that did over $2 million in 2014, I believe. Mm-hmm. And by the way, so it's still one of my most listened podcast episodes with thousands and thousands of listens, and it's still getting listens 2 years later. So that was really cool. And maybe you could go a little bit back or into that and tell us what's going on with those companies, including Wet Shave Club and a few other things that you did. What's happening with those companies and businesses right now?
Yeah. Well, first off, it's super cool to hear that it was one of your popular podcasts. That's awesome. Those companies are still going and going strong. Maids in Black, Wet Shave Club, GrooveJar, Lawn Tribe, and maybe one or two others that I'm forgetting. They're still going. So what I'm able to do as I build these companies is to then find management teams. So if you can grow a company out to $500,000 a year or $1 million a year or $2 or $3 million per year, that gives you some the ability to make some decisions. One, do you want to stay on and manage and work on it and grow it even further and deal with operations and marketing and so on? Or do you want to hire a team that can take care of that for you and you can go on and pursue other more interesting things? And for me, I would rather go on and pursue other more interesting things. So the companies are still going. I still own them, just like I owned them when we spoke last time. And I get my distribution or paycheck or whatever else. And I then I'm working on things that are closer to my heart at this time. And I think that process is something that I would recommend for people that are looking to become serial entrepreneurs, is to focus on one company first and really build it out as much as you can until you have a good revenue that you can pay yourself well, and then also have extra money that you can probably pursue other passions. But it definitely started with focusing on one company at first. So I think that's really important to emphasize.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's great to hear. And Rohan, the hype is all that passive income, the laptop lifestyle, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And so these companies that you now have hired teams to run them for you, is it like a completely passive income at this point, or do you still have to get involved rather seriously in them from time to time, at least? Yeah.
So I would say I've been lucky to say I'm probably 99% passive now. But there's still things that will require, the owner to step in and deal with, things that have to deal with accounting and the IRS and tax. That part of it, I still want to make sure I know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, I can travel the world and be anywhere I want to be. And and my paycheck or distribution will be in my account every 2 weeks or every week or whatever else. So it really has become something of a passive income. But I don't like to describe it that way only because a lot of times people are discussing I would really like to build a passive income business. They sometimes discount the level of work that it takes to get to that point. It is not passive for 4 or 5 years. It's very rare to see some person doing high revenue that has not worked like a mad person for 4 or 5 or 6 years. And then maybe at that point you can say, okay, let me just relax a little bit and get my paychecks. But the passive income discussion, when I hear it at the beginning before you even start, I kind of tone it out because it's just something that is so far into the future. It's almost like graduating college and then you're discussing your retirement. But when you graduate college, you're yo, you just gotta, now it's time to work. So I kind of stay away from passive income discussions because it kind of warps things a little bit. It warps expectations a little bit. Business is a tremendous amount of work.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing that, and I hope all those people that email me weekly asking what can they do to start making millions by tomorrow and never do anything again. I hope they hear that and realize that it's possible to build a passive income business, but it'll probably take years. And not only that, I think it'll take a lot of planning because a business has to be built in such a way that someone could just take over and you don't have to be there, which isn't easy either. That's something that requires a lot of planning and testing and trying out and failing as well until you find the proper people to do it for you.
Absolutely.
All right, Rohan. So moving on to I guess let's go back to inclusive. So we're gonna jump back and forth. And I was wondering if you guys planning on finding or looking for investors, or if you have already, or if you're planning on that, because a lot of startups such as yours or something similar, all of them end up looking for investors because they realize that more often than not it requires a lot more investment than initially planned.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on that?
So you're talking about looking for outside investors?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll say two things about that really quickly. One, the chances of getting funded are a lot lower than people expect. It is you read all these articles about companies that get funded, but then if you think of the population of companies that would like to get funded or that are trying to get funded, the percentage of companies that get funded is really, really, really small. So knowing that, just personally, I have not spent any significant time really pursuing pursuing getting funded. I've instead, I've built big companies and we've done millions of dollars, but we've never gotten a single penny of investment, even now. So even with a track record, it has been very difficult for us to get funded. So we just work if funding does not exist, and we bootstrap and struggle and hustle and come up with creative ways to raise, to make money to fund projects and so on. So I'm not the best person to talk about outside funding because I just work if it does not exist.
Mm-hmm. So basically, you guys aren't really planning on that, or at least anytime soon.
Yeah, not anytime soon. I feel like maybe after we get to scale, and this is something that you see a lot with companies that do get funded. By the time there is enough interest in funding that company, the company is at the point where they do not need the funding.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what may happen with us. And then at that point, we'll either be able to make a decision to keep going alone or kind of entertain that idea.
Yeah. That actually makes that makes a lot of sense, Rohan.
Mm-hmm.
And Rohan, you're a busy guy and you're building all these companies. And once again, you did mention that usually takes years to build a company properly, a successful company that makes good income. So what does your typical day look like? How many hours do you work? When you wake up, what exactly you do as work? Could you take us through that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So a typical day for me, I will wake up and I'll check my email, and there's usually something in there for me that needs my attention. And that'll probably be about 30 minutes or so. And then I'll check my Skype. So Skype is where my entire team communicates. So I can click on a group and talk to the management team for Maids in Black and the support for Maids in Black. Or I can click on another group and talk to my support or customer service or operations people from Wet Shave Club and so on. So each company is really just a group of really, really good people that I can connect with on Skype every morning and see what's going on. And then after, chit-chatting or so for half an hour if there are any issues, then I go into my day of, if I have meetings or I'm reaching out to property managers right now, which is, I'm working aggressively on inclusive, or if we have some kind of marketing campaign going out, I would take a look at it and give my feedback to the team and so on. Then in the afternoon time, I would set some time up for interviews or podcasts like this. I think it's really, really important to be always telling your story as much as possible. Even if you're not running ads or something, it's really important to be getting your story out and connecting with some cool people like yourself. And so that's something that I try to do every day, usually in the afternoons. And then by the evening time, I'm usually checking emails again, checking social media, looking for mentions of inclusive, make sure nothing crazy is happening. Mm-hmm. And then I probably work all the way up until 9 o'clock or so. But by the evening time, I'm still working, but I'm maybe watching basketball in the background or something like that. So that's kind of how my typical day goes. And then it's always filled in with emergencies, like somebody tried to book, but their credit card won't go through, or we have some person trying fraud on the platform, or, there's emergencies mixed in as well that I have to deal with. That's pretty much how my day goes right now.
Mm-hmm. So basically you're busy from morning until night.
Yes.
So you're not making millions by working 30 hours a day? Come on, man.
I wish, man. I'm still going all the way through.
It's gonna happen one day. Just you have to build up to that, and you know that better than I do. Yeah. All right, Rohan. So there was one thing that you said in 2015, and I want to see if you still stand by those words and if you still agree with that. So you said to skip the business plan. And if you really have to make a business plan, make it no longer than 1 page.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny you said that. Yes, I still live by those words, because for me, a business plan ends up just personally, I like to take action. And I realized that you have to go from zero to a point where you are learning about the industry that you're getting into. You're learning about the business. You're learning about how the customers are going to treat you. You're learning if your price is right. And all those things you have to learn. Your business plan is a guess about those things. It's like a educated guess. But I want to actually learn as soon as possible. And the only way to learn is to actually start. So a business plan that is going to require me 30 days to create is 30 days that I could have started. Mm-hmm. So I still think, even right now, and working on inclusive and so on, we thought of the idea, we got to work building the website, and we got started. And then as we got going, we were like, oh, you know what? This is a cool person that we should talk to. This is a better way that we should lay out our pricing, because we're getting bookings now, so people we're getting feedback on what people like and what they don't like. And all of that learning has to happen. And I feel like the faster that learning happens, the better we set up ourselves for success. And business plans just kind of delay that learning too long for me.
That's a great explanation and great way to think about it, to see it.
Sorry. Okay.
All right, Rohan. So at this point, I'd like to talk a little bit about Groove Learning Facebook group. Mm-hmm. So this is a private Facebook group that you guys created back in, I guess, 2015, probably early 2015, right? Or maybe late 2014. You're closing in on 10,000 members on it, and you're rather active on this group, which also takes a lot of time from you. So the main question here would be, since you're not really selling anything on this group, you're not making money out of these members, yet you spend so much time helping them and answering their questions. What exactly is the reason for you to do that?
Thanks for bringing that up. So there's a couple things. One, I feel like, I have learned so much online. And everything I've learned online, I've learned from other successful entrepreneurs. What I'm doing now, I did not learn in school, even though I have a business degree and an accounting degree. 99% of what I know about building businesses, I've learned from the internet and from actually doing it myself. So I feel like there is some obligation to keep that going and help people out and reach back a little bit for folks that are coming up, trying to build businesses in the way that we do. So that's one of the reasons why I try to help out as much in Groove Learning. And another reason too is the best way to really move forward, I think, in life, in any arena, is to build a network. And then the best way to build a network is to help as much as possible. Like when you give to people, they would like bend over backwards for you. Like sometimes down the road, like even if you don't ever expect anything back, but just the act of giving and sharing and being transparent and being open, it ends up building like this energy, and it attracts people. And then as you're like moving towards your goals, you have like a host of people that are also moving towards their goals, and we all cheerlead each other, and we like, it makes us accountable online. It's like all of this energy that I think is important as you are kind of like building businesses, to realize that you cannot do it alone. And so I feel that that's really the second reason, just building that energy and feeling that vibe and happiness every day, interacting with really, really cool people that are working on cool things. It's almost like you're living together with people that are building stuff. You get so much more out of the process if there's a lot of energy towards your goals in an aggressive way. And that is really important to build. And I think Groove Learning has been that for us.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I like this group, and I participate sometimes in conversations. And what really surprises me, I guess, it's how many people actually took action and launched their own businesses because of being inside that group.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Like we have like, if you look at like the Launch 27 platform, which is one of my platforms, it's like a software platform, but there's so many people that they would come in the group, and they would ask a question. Somebody would respond and be like, "Oh, hey, yeah, I run a similar business, and here's how we solve that problem." Or hey guys, here's my revenue for the last month. And that becomes an inspiration for somebody else to say, hey, if this guy can do it, and he was here 2 months ago and he didn't have anything, I can do it too. So that whole energy, man, it really is inspiring for other people. And we're seeing a lot of people like build successful companies right there in that group. So it's really, really cool to see.
Yeah, totally. All right, Rohan, I want to ask you for some advice here. Once again, since you're building all these different businesses, and many of them, and you touch really different parts of these businesses, you certainly come across like big roadblocks, things that seem impossible to solve, or issues that seem just very, very complex and, once again, impossible to move through. How do you do that? How do you find your answers to fix those really big roadblocks and to just keep moving forward?
Yeah, man. Good question. Good question. So there's two ways, and this is just like a really high level, like two ways. Like when we're looking at these roadblocks and sometimes they happen over a long period of time where you're solving this thing and you're solving it for weeks and weeks and weeks, or it's something where you're having like a roadblock during the day that seems like, man, how are we going to figure this out? And there's really only two solutions. One is like you go out there and you find the information yourself, or two, you go out and you find some person that has that information. And so I'll give a quick example for Inclusive. When we started Inclusive, this was my first time in the vacation rental industry. It's a very complex industry. And like there's like all these acronyms that I had no idea what net fees and gross fees and all this weirdness was. Channel managers, distribution companies, property managers, they're all different. What does it mean? So I could have like spent a whole host of time struggling to figure this out, or I could have said, you know what, let me find some person who is an expert in this industry and let me spend some time with them, even as an hour, or maybe I can book like a little 4-hour consultation with them and ask them a gazillion questions. And that's what I did. I found this guy, and he has a lot of experience. We got on the phone and we talked, and then we got on the phone and we talked again for like over a week's period. And by the end of that time, we had a host of information, and we were also being introduced to big players in the market that then turned around and helped us with properties and working on our platform and so on. So there's always a way out, and very often you can find that information yourself by Googling. As crazy as it sounds, everything is there. And if there are things that are a little bit more, that are deeper and more difficult to figure out, then you have to find that person that has that information. And if you do one of the two, you're able to overcome almost anything. If it's a problem that somebody else has solved, that means that you can also solve it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Thanks for this advice. And I guess this is when it makes sense to pay someone for their advice.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, Ron. So I guess one of the last questions here, what would you recommend to brand new entrepreneurs or people who are just thinking of starting? They don't know what they really want to do. They don't know where to start. They don't, like, what would be your most important advice? Maybe it's a personal trait. Maybe it's a resource where they should look into. What is it like if you had to offer one thing, one piece of advice to them? What would it be?
One piece of advice would be to sell something. So, if you were thinking about, okay, so like entrepreneurship, like it's like a marathon, right? It's like a series of marathons, and that happens over maybe a 2-year period to 3 years. That's what it is. And if you're a person that wants to get into entrepreneurship, right now you're at home sitting on the couch. And there's all these other people that are outside running and training and working and buying new shoes and figuring out the best diets. And they're actually in the process right now. I'm one of those people. And really the only thing that separates me from the other people that are still at home right now wanting to become an entrepreneur is that they have not gone outside, put on a pair of shoes and started to run. And that to me is the thing. Like you have to start today and figure out something to sell. And that something to sell, it does not have to be this complex thing. It could be, I'm going to go on Craigslist. Some person is selling move-in services or something. And I go on Thumbtack and find some person that wants to buy move-in services. And I connect the two and make 25%. I did that when I was broke. Or it could be like, you have some old clothes. You can go put them on eBay or something and you can sell there. Or you have something where you realize that there's arbitrage between supermarkets where there may be some like big sale in the supermarket for some product. You can then take that product and put it on Amazon. What's it called?
FBA.
Yes, you can put it on Amazon and they ship it for you. I know one lady she was homeless and she ended up figuring out Amazon and buying groceries, and now she does like $50,000 a month selling nothing but groceries from Amazon. And she buys the groceries in a lot of cases at retail. It is really crazy. So I say all of that, a long-winded question to say that you have to put some shoes on and start to run. You got to get out there, and you're not going to be like, if you put some shoes on and start to run today, you're not going to run a marathon tomorrow. You're not going to figure it out. You're not going to win your first big race or something, but you're going to get better every single day. But you got to start selling something. Even if it's something really small, you got to sell something. Get the feeling of selling and putting yourself out there. If you sit on the sidelines, you can sit on the sidelines forever. That is so easy to do. So I'm not even going to give like any resources except to say, sell something and get that feeling of making money outside of a job. And when you get that feeling and it's like, oh man, this is doable, then you can start to get more confidence and more confidence and more confidence and go from there. But yeah, sell something.
All right. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And I guess I'll have a follow-up question at this point. So let's say you did start selling something, or you start a business or you start 2 businesses and they're successful and everything's good. So how do you not get comfortable and lazy to the point where you're like, well, I'm set. I'm good. I have this online shop or this Amazon shop or whatever cleaning business, and it's just working out. I'm making, I don't know, like $5,000, $10,000 a month in profit. I'm happy with that. A lot of people would actually get comfortable in this position, and they'll probably keep on working at it. If they're smart enough, they wouldn't just stop doing it. They'll keep that level of income. But you're not that kind of person. Obviously, you're not getting comfortable, and you're moving on with new projects. So how and why?
Yeah, okay. I like that question. Thank you. So the why for me is I really want that when I die, which if you think about it is, it's like there's really not that much time in life. Like none of us have a lot of time. So I would like that when I die, I don't leave any dreams unfulfilled. I don't want to be like, my last couple of days somewhere, and I'm like, man, I wish I had done that. Or it would have been cool if I had launched a company like Inclusive and go up against Airbnb. I don't want to leave any of those things. So that's my why. I want to die with every single thing that I can think of as a dream fulfilled. And so that then drives my, like, the how then becomes easy, because I'm like, I know the process of building companies, and I feel like the process is repeatable. And the industry does not really matter as much, because human beings are human beings. They react to the same type of branding. They react to the same type of communication. They react to the same type of pricing and contests, and they react to social media and content the same way, regardless of the industry. So that part of it doesn't really matter that much, as long as you build the skills to be able to build a business. And then from there on, I can just kind of chase my dreams and go after industry after industry, because I want to not have any dreams left unturned when it's all over. So that's my story.
That's really awesome. I love that answer, and I, certainly love your why. That's actually a great why, and I think a lot of people have the same why without actually realizing it. It's like, this is one of the main reasons I think a lot of people go into entrepreneurship. They're not sure why. They just know that they don't want to work for the man. They don't want to, work hard and make peanuts while making someone else rich. Mm-hmm. They're not sure why, and I think your why is actually the real answer to that.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. I think so as well. You need a strong why. That's something that Kevin from Wet Shave Club always says as well.
Yeah, and the how, you'll figure that out once you know your why, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Rohan. Well, thanks so much for all of that. And for people who want to find out more about you, about your companies, about what you're doing with Kevin as well, where should they go?
Yeah, so they can go on the Groove Learning Facebook group and check us out there. And then they can check out. They can also email me too. Like I got some emails, I think, last time we talked. So you can also email me if you have any questions, if I can help. I'm happy to. Rohan@inclusive.com. That's 2 N's. And then twitter.com, Rohan Gilkes as well.
And I think people should also, man, that's your job. You should be pitching it. You should tell people that they should be signing up to inclusive.com right now.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Hard sell. Inclusive.com. You can sign up. You can check out properties right now in about 100 different countries. We have about 200,000 properties on the platform as we speak. We're very strong in Europe and Southeast Asia and South America and the Caribbean, and we'll be adding a lot more North American properties in the upcoming weeks.
That's really awesome. Great news. Rohan, well, thank you so much for sharing your history once again, your experiences, your advice, your tips, your strategies, and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much, man. Thanks for having me. It's always fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Extra Paycheck Podcast. As usual, head over to extrapodcast.com/111. This is where I'll be putting up show notes page for today's episode, including links and other resources mentioned in today's show. Also, head over to extrapodcast.com/iTunes in order to leave a rating and a review, which will help the show tremendously. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to this show on iTunes. Thanks once again for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next Monday.